This video is about Supreme Court cases involving selective incorporation or the 14th Amendment as part of a larger series. Selective incorporation is the idea that the rights and protections of the federally imposed Bill of Rights are gradually incorporated into state legislation through Supreme Court decisions based on the equal protection and due process clauses of the 14th Amendment. The first case related to selective incorporation is Gideon v. Wainwright, which happened in 1963. For context, a man named Gideon was charged with breaking and entering in a Florida state court. He requested a court-appointed lawyer but was denied, as defendants could only have an attorney be appointed in capital cases under Florida law. As a result, he sued the court for violating his constitutional rights. In the end, the Supreme Court found that the Sixth Amendment's right to counsel applied to state court defendants as part of the 14th Amendment, and the right to counsel was incorporated into the states. The second case related to selective incorporation is Roe v. Wade, which happened in 1973. As this case has been overturned, you no longer have to know about it for the AP exam, at least for the 2023 AP exam. However, I will still explain it briefly for the sake of knowing. For context, a woman in Texas wanted an abortion but could not legally have one in Texas, where state law dictated that abortion was only allowed in cases where the mother's life was in danger. The constitutional issue behind the case was whether or not a woman's right to have an abortion was protected by the Constitution, and whether it fit into the broader right of privacy. In the end, the Supreme Court decided that a woman's right to abortion fell within the right to privacy and was therefore protected by the 14th Amendment. Essentially, this case set a precedent for a broader definition of privacy. The final case related to selective incorporation is McDonald v. Chicago, which took place in 2010. The context for this case is that Chicago passed a law banning handguns, which triggered a series of lawsuits against the city claiming that the ban was unconstitutional. The judges decided that the handgun ban was unconstitutional and that the Second Amendment's right to bear arms also applied to states in a 5-4 decision, leading to the right to self-defense, protected by the Second Amendment, being incorporated into the states through the 14th Amendment. While Brown v. Board does not relate to the principle of selective incorporation, it revolves heavily around the 14th Amendment, specifically around the Equal Protection Clause. The case, which happened in 1954, happened because African American students were denied admission to public schools as a result of racial segregation laws, which many argued to be a violation of the Constitution. This monumental Supreme Court case overturned a previous case called Plessy v. Ferguson, where the court determined that segregated facilities were legal as long as the facilities were equal. In this case, the Equal Protection Clause was used to argue against racial segregation, and in the end, the court decided that racial segregation, even when the facilities were equal, was unconstitutional, ending racial segregation in schools.